Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you the easy way to fly an ILS approach into an airport. It's going to be a short flight today from Gatwick Airport to Heathrow Airport. It's only about a 15-minute flight just to demonstrate how we can do this. So on board the plane we already have everything set up. All the route is ready and we are ready for takeoff nearly. So you just set the engines to continuous, set the generators and set the APU to off, and now we are ready for takeoff. So let's go ahead and get the plane lifted off and then we'll go through how to fly the ILS.
V1, rotate.
Go and rotate. Positive rate, gear up. And let's arm the auto throttle. Bring flaps up to 2. And let's set the autopilot. There we go, and now we are off the ground. So now let's go ahead and talk about actually performing the ILS approach. So what we want to do now is come over to ChartFox, put in the iCal of our arrival airport, and then come down on the side till we find our runway we'll be using, and then select the ILS DME chart. From there, I would suggest adding that to your dock here, so you can easily access that chart among all your other charts you will be using for the flight. For this, here we can see many different things about the ILS approach. So first of all, we can see on radio descent height, or decision height, which is 51, so we can go ahead and get that set up now in the plane. I'm currently on active pause just while I explain this. So what we're going to do is come over here and change this to radio. It's set a standard on Barrow, and we can move this out of the way. Once we turn this knob, we will start to see the radio change there. I'll set that to whatever that was, which is 55, I believe. 51. So let's set that to 51. Okay, now what we want to see is just something we need to keep mentally, which is the altitude we need to be at when we intercept the glide slope, which is 2,500. That will just be something we have to remember. And then also we need this here, which is the track for the ILS. We're going to be at a heading of 089, so we need to remember that. And we can actually put that in now on the course. I'm going to set that to 089. Like that. And want to do that the same for the co-pilot. Like that. Now what we need to do is go back over to the charts and we can find the ILS approach frequency. So that is here. So we can see here it says I-AA, so that we need to look for that on this chart, which is here. And then we can see the frequency is 110.3. Come down to our nav and put in 110.3. And then transfer. As you will see here, it will say that it is there's IRR with a line through it. So we need to go do that on the co-pilot side as well. 110.3. And transfer. From there, as you can see, that will now work, and if we zoom out on the map we may even be able to see it. We actually can't currently, but normally we'll be able to see a line with the course going towards the runway. So now we're actually already set up for the ILS then. We've got it programmed into our FMC. If you don't know how to program the FMC, make sure you check out the video I just did on how to program the FMC. I'll put a link up to it now in the top right. But yeah, we are now all ready for our ILS approach. So now we need to fly our short route over to Heathrow, and then we can begin the approach. So here we are now, we're coming up on our top of descent. So what we're going to do is change our altitude here, make sure we're on VNAV. Change our altitude down to our localizer intercept altitude, which we just said was 2,500. Make sure that's set, and make sure the plane does not start to descend. If the plane does start to descend, that means one of two things: either you have level change enabled, or VNAV is disabled. Make sure VNAV is enabled and level change is disabled. Okay, so making our turn now over to the top of descent, and as you can see there on that little dotted line, that is our localizer. So we're going to be intercepting that localizer. So what we want to do is actually turn the heading. Something you always need to do with Boeing planes is turn the heading to where you're actually going for things like an ILS approach. So we're going to turn our heading to about 290. That's going to be roughly where we're going. We're going to need this, I'm going to need to use this to intercept the localizer and the Glideslope. Okay, so I did actually make a mistake there. So this is not the localizer, this is the runway heading. So we're actually going to be coming in from the runway on this side over here, and then this is the runway heading. So if we have to do a go around, we may be told to maintain runway heading. We'll maintain on that dotted line. You may also see the dotted blue line there as well. That is the published missed approach procedure. So in the event of a go around on VNAV and LNAV and autopilot, the plane would automatically follow that blue line up until there, and then continue on current heading for the go around, and that is what basically will happen in the event of a go around. The localizer and Glideslope is this side of the runway. There is still a dotted line there, but it's slightly covered up by the pink of the flight plan. As you can see, it's there, a bit more clear. Same as that, but just underneath the route pink line. So we have VNAV enabled, so as we come up to our top of descent, as soon as we hit top of descent, the plane will begin to descend at a rate that the plane thinks is right for where we currently are in compared to the airport. So obviously if we're this far away from the airport and we need to descend, let's say we're at 2,000 and the airport is at 0 on VNAV, the plane will start to descend. However, if we're at 2,000 here and the airport is at 0, it will not start descending until about there. So we want to leave the plane on VNAV for this whole procedure because basically that's going to help us a lot and help us to do less basically. Okay, so as you can see now, we've just hit top of descent and we are descending. We're going to be probably at about 1,000 feet per minute, and in the event you do wish to turn off autopilot, you can follow the flight directives here, the purple lines, and that will direct you down as if you're on VNAV, but you'll be flying it yourself. Okay, so on this first officer FMC, let's go ahead and get the approach on. We're going to select the approach we're going to be using, which is flaps 40 and speed 137. So we're going to set speed 137 once we are about maybe 3 miles from the airport, maybe even 2. And we need to make sure it's done by then. We could probably set it a bit earlier or roughly around that time if we need to. Okay, we're going to leave it on there just as a reminder of the speed in case we need to go and have a look over before we set the autopilot for that speed. You'll notice that as we reached our top of descent, we had these little things come up on the sides. So if you've ever flown another airliner, such as an Airbus, you'll recognise these kind of, but in the Airbus they are little dots. Basically it's exactly the same, but just without the dots. So this is showing us where we are on the Glideslope, and this is showing us where we are on the localizer. The localizer is a bit like a road, but invisible. It's like a road the planes follow, to make sure that they are aligned with the runway, and the glide slope is to make sure we're at the right height to safely land at the runway. When it's in the middle, that means it's good, and when this is in the middle, that also means it's good. If it's too low, that means we have to go down, basically. And if it's too high, that means we have to go up. And same for this, if it's too left, we have to go left. Too right, we have to go right. So basically we just follow these as well, and that will also determine the flight director. So if we're flying by hand, we can also just follow the flight director, and that will assist us down to the ground, and could even take us on the ground if we literally just look at that. So that little warning there showing us we're coming up on our altitude of 2,500, ready to intercept the localizer. As you can see here, this is the runway heading, so this will be the localizer, and I believe the localizer goes out to the end of that dotted line, which is quite good. So as you can see, we're going to loop around, actually go past the localizer, and then come back onto the localizer. You can see a bit like in the Airbus, there's a little diamond shape there, that is the localizer. So you'll see that will move over here quite quickly, and then over here, and then soon it will come back round to here. So as we come across the localizer, it will go over to the right and stay there, and then as we loop back round, it will start coming back to the centre. As you can see, that's now happening, which means we are actually good for the localizer, and we're actually all set up for it. So we can just watch that, and it will come across. As you can see, the autopilot follows this flight director, and you can see that has just also updated to show us where we are on the glide slope. As you can see, that has gone all the way across now. That will stay there until we loop back around and come back onto the localizer. So now we're going to set flaps 1, and we're also going to do speed intervention, so that will allow us to manually input the speed for VNAV. So we're going to bring that down to 145 just for now. And then once we're aligned, we'll go on our landing speed, which is 137. Okay, let's bring down flaps 2. Let's bring down flaps 5. We can have, as you can see, we have the runway in sight. We'll be landing there. And we can bring down flaps 10. We want to keep on flaps 10. As you can see, we can see the flaps here, by the way. We want to keep on flaps 10 until we are aligned on the localizer and the landing gear is down. Once we are aligned and the landing gear is down, we can then go to flaps 15. As I said earlier, we need to set the heading. We're going to set it to the runway heading, which is 089. Just like our course. Okay, over on the autopilot now, we want to set VOR and localizer just underneath LNAV, and you can see LNAV will disengage. That's perfectly fine, because now the autopilot's going to align us on the localizer. Okay, once we are roughly on the localizer, we can hit approach mode, and the plane will begin to descend. Just for now, we're going to set a lower altitude, just to kind of help the plane to descend. We are actually quite above the glide slope. In real life, this would be a go around. But we've got enough time, we can fix that just for now in the sim. VNAV will sort all this out for us, and it will get us down to the altitude needed, and if it can't, then the autopilot will automatically do a go around or tell us to go around. I'm not fully sure how that works in the 737. Okay, we're going to set the speed. We can have a look over to our right and we can check what it was. 137, like that. And there we go, we are now set up for the approach and the ILS. As you can see, the localizer, the glide slope is coming back to the middle, so that means it's good. And that means the autopilot has sorted it all out for itself.
1,000.
Once we've descended, we want to set our missed approach altitude, also found on the charts. So let me have a look at that quickly. Okay, it's 3,000, yeah. Okay, so I'll set that right.
5, too low, gear.
Oh, sorry.
Too low,
Yep,
gear.
need to drop the gear.
Too low, gear.
That is my
Too low,
bad. I did
gear.
forget about that. And now we can do
Too
flaps
low,
15.
Gear. Too low, gear. Too low, gear.
We're going to drop flaps 20, drop flaps 30, and flaps 40. Sorry, that was a bit delayed. That was something on my bad. Okay, autopilot disengaged now.
Approaching minimum.
Approaching minimums.
100. Minimums.
Okay, a bit high.
30. 20. 10.
Okay, at 10. Turn off auto throttle. And we can land gently. We're going to put reverse thrust on. Let the plane's nose drop down. And then we can begin to brake. Normally we'd set auto brake, which is what I'll do now. Okay, auto brake off. The manual braking, we've gone past 16 now, so we'll turn off the reverse thrust and we'll exit the runway. And there you go, that is ILS approach and landing in the Pmdg Boeing 737. I apologise about my mistake there with the landing gear. I just completely forgot about it. I was too busy explaining and it just slipped my mind. But yeah, hopefully that was helpful. As you can see that I did disengage autopilot a bit late. I normally do it a little bit higher, but it's fine. You could also auto land like that as well. You just leave the autopilot on and you will auto land the plane basically, and then you don't have to do anything. So that's what you do in stormy conditions or where there are conditions with low visibility. As always, thank you for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. I post lots of tutorials on Microsoft Flight Simulator and some full flights, and I'm going to be doing a lot more on the Pmdg Boeing 737 because it is such a good plane. It is a bit hard to fly. As you can see there, I did make a mistake. So if you want to learn how to professionally fly the Boeing 737, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you can learn the easy beginner's way of how to fly it. As always, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye bye.